Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're exposing what is arguably the most demonized ingredient in culinary history. For decades now, we've been fed this absolutely terrifying story about a single, mysterious white powder hiding in our food. We've been aggressively warned that this stuff causes headaches, brain fog, chest pains, palpitations, the whole shebang. And this widespread fear, well, it led to those giant neon no MSG signs proudly displayed in restaurant windows all over the world. We've essentially treated monosodium glutamate like it's some highly toxic chemical additive. But here is where we hit a massive contradiction. On one hand, sure, we have this pervasive myth of a toxic chemical. But scientifically, it is literally one of the most natural, deeply misunderstood flavor molecules on the planet. I mean, if you love aged Parmesan cheese, or ripe tomatoes, walnuts, or even just mushrooms, guess what? You are already consuming massive amounts of MSG every single day. It's the exact same molecule. So how on earth did a completely safe, naturally occurring amino acid become culinary public enemy number one?
Section 1. The Discovery of Umami. Organic Chemistry over Emotion.
Okay, so this story actually kicks off way back in 1908 in Tokyo. There was this chemist, Kikunae Ikeda, and he was investigating his wife's kelp broth. He noticed it had this deep, savory deliciousness that just couldn't be boxed into the four classic primary tastes, right? Sweet, sour, salty, bitter. None of them fit. So he goes into the lab and successfully isolates the exact molecule responsible for this amazing taste. It was L-glutamate, which is an amino acid found abundantly in nature. But to make it stable enough to actually sprinkle on food, he bound it with just a single atom of sodium. Boom. He created the molecule C5H8NO4Na, or monosodium glutamate. He named this incredible fifth taste umami, which roughly translates to savory deliciousness. And biologically speaking, this is where the magic happens. Your body treats this white powder exactly like the natural cellular glutamate found in those tomatoes and cheeses. When you eat MSG, it dissolves right in your saliva, separating into a standard sodium ion and a glutamate ion. Now, when that glutamate hits your tongue, it docks perfectly, like a key in a lock, into specific G protein-coupled receptors. This instantly fires off a massive, hardwired, evolutionary signal straight to your brain, basically shouting, "Hey, we just found high-density protein." It literally tricks your brain into experiencing this incredible wave of mouth-watering flavor right out of thin air.
Section 2. The 1968 Medical Illusion. Uncovering a viral historical myth.
So if MSG is really just a natural amino acid that our biology is literally hardwired to crave, where did the global panic come from? As we track the timeline here, it is wild to realize that the entire anti-MSG movement basically started with just a single letter in 1968. That one letter spawned decades of racist media headlines and, frankly, incredibly flawed science. I mean, we're talking about studies in the 1980s where researchers were injecting absurdly massive amounts of MSG directly into the abdomens of mice, doses hundreds of times higher than any human would ever naturally eat, all just to claim it caused brain damage. But what's really fascinating here is how casual and entirely speculative the spark for this whole panic actually was. Dr. Robert Homan-Kwok wrote to the New England Journal of Medicine, basically just noting some temporary numbness and palpitations after eating at American Chinese restaurants. Look closely at his phrasing. He casually speculated that it might be caused by the cooking wine, the high sodium content, or the MSG. That's it. It completely lacked any rigorous, peer-reviewed data. But, of course, the media ran wild with it. They coined this pseudo-medical term, Chinese restaurant syndrome, which tapped directly into xenophobic fears rather than any actual scientific fact. Thankfully, the science did eventually catch up. Ultimately, when real, double-blind human clinical trials were finally performed, where they gave actual humans realistic amounts of MSG completely hidden in their food, the supposed symptoms completely vanished. Zero effect. Today, the FDA, the World Health Organization, and the European Union have all reviewed the rigorous modern data, and their unified consensus, MSG is completely safe. Section 3. Neurochemistry of the crunch. Modern industrial application. Okay, so if we know it's completely safe, we have to look at how modern food corporations actually leverage this neurochemistry today. Why is MSG in everything from fast food chicken to your favorite instant ramen? Well, looking at industrial snack manufacturing versus artisanal ingredients, we see the exact same biological mechanism at play. Whether it's the added C5, H8, NO4, Na in a bag of cheese chips, or the naturally occurring L-glutamate in a premium veal of Parmigiano Reggiano, both of them dock to those exact same G-protein-coupled receptors on your tongue. Your body honestly doesn't know the difference. It just experiences this amazingly enhanced sensory density. And get this, here is a massive health benefit that almost nobody talks about. MSG actually contains 66%, literally 2/3, less sodium than standard table salt. So by substituting regular salt with a tiny fraction of MSG, food companies can slash the total sodium content of a product while exponentially increasing its flavor. And it gets crazier. When MSG is paired with natural nucleotides found in things like meat and mushrooms, specifically inosenates and guanylates, they fit together in your taste receptors like locking gears. This combination multiplies the savory taste by up to 8 times. It creates this hyper-palatable loop that makes it almost physically impossible to just eat one chip. Section 4, the analytical loop, shattering the pantry myth. This all brings us to a massive takeaway about modern food science and human psychology. The history of MSG really teaches us that our perception of what is healthy is so often driven by social conditioning rather than actual organic chemistry. So the next time you see a no MSG sign in a restaurant window, just remember, you are not looking at a health guarantee. You're looking at a medical illusion, one built on a foundation of cultural bias instead of molecular science. If you want to keep shattering the ultimate myths hiding right inside your pantry, make sure you hit that subscribe button. To end this explainer, I'm going to leave you with a provocative question for our next breakdown. If an invisible myth changed how an entire generation tastes their food, what happens when we face a physical, global economic crisis that threatens the world's most luxurious flavor? I'm talking about the global vanilla crisis, where 99% of the vanilla you eat actually comes from oil and trees. Think about that the next time you grab a scoop of ice cream, and I'll see you in the next breakdown.